How is everyone doing today? Good. I love to hear that, Lily. Good morning, students, parents, faculty, staff, and distinguished guests. My name is Heather Zlanowski, and I am the Executive Director of the Benjamin Franklin Classical Charter Public School. It is my distinct honor to welcome you today to our capstone presentations. I could not be more proud of the 45 8th grade students who are sitting in front of us today. Their hard work, dedication, and caring spirit has guided them here, where they will share with us an individually planned and executed community service project that they have successfully completed. 15 months ago, most of these students sat here in this auditorium with the capstone coordinators introducing them to this intensive project. They have worked through the steps of brainstorming, researching, developing, and executing a project that they feel passionate about to support an organization or raise awareness of a specific cause that is important to them. Over the next 2 days, we will have the privilege of listening to the work of these amazing students and what they've accomplished in the past 15 months. Mahatma Gandhi said, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." We will today hear from a group of students who have dedicated their time to the service of others and in the process learned about themselves. You will hear about their projects, the organizations they worked with, the goals they set for themselves, the obstacles they faced in striving to reach their goals, and what they have learned in the process. It has been said that one individual who is determined to make a difference in the world can, with desire, drive, dedication, discipline, passion, and persistence. The world can be altered and billions of people's lives can be impacted positively in an unimaginable way. Just imagine the impact that these 45 young men and women have had on this world. I promise you that after hearing from these students, that you will not only be as proud of them as we are today, but you will be inspired by the stories you hear, the goals they have reached, and the impact they have had on their local, national, and global communities. I'd like to introduce 3 guests that we have with us today. First, we have Jamie Holland, the Franklin Town Administrator. We also have Jeff Roy, our state representative. And Tim Nicolette, the Executive Director of the Massachusetts Charter School Association. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I know you're all very busy with the jobs that you do, but thank you for coming here and listening to our students. We really appreciate the time that you dedicated to being here. And with that, I would love to introduce Mr. Perno, who is going to be our Master of Ceremonies for today's event.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, family and friends and students and special guests, for being here with us today. This day is always one of my favorite days of the year. You are all working so hard to make a difference in your communities. And I don't know that the kids sitting in front of me right now, who are so nervous to give their speech in a few minutes, realize how special that is. At this school, you've had the opportunity over 9 years, or 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, to have a number of community service experiences. But what you've shown with your capstone project is that you've internalized the mission of our school, the 4 pillars of our school. Because the capstone project is not possible without all 4 of those pillars working together. Without all of your experiences with community service, you would not know how a student can make a difference in their world. Without our rigorous academic classical education, you wouldn't have had the skills to go out, to meet people, to interact with people, to write letters, and actually conduct this hard and interesting service projects that you have. Without character education over the past 9 years, or 4 years, or 3 years, you wouldn't have had the empathy and the understanding to identify the needs or the social skills to be able to do some of the work that you've done. And lastly, without our 4th pillar, parents as primary educators, you certainly would have had trouble getting to the places that you were trying to get to all these many weeks that we've been doing our capstone. So thank you, parents. But in seriousness, parents are a big part of this too. As parents as primary educator means they are your first educator. And they've instilled the values and the trust in you that we've tried to continue as a school. So their support of this project, in support of those other 3 pillars, is what has brought you here today. brought you here to celebrate not only what you've accomplished as an individual, but the difference you've made in your community as an 8th grader. And as you listen to your presentations today, I invite our 6th graders and our 7th graders and your 8th grade peers and your teachers and all of us to reflect on how what you've achieved as an individual has ripples for our school, positive repercussions in the lives of those you touch and work with, that will carry on and be your legacy for a very long time. I'm so excited today to get to hearing about your projects in your own words. I'd like to just share with you a little bit about how today's presentations will operate. Each advisor will stand up in a few moments and introduce their advising group. And then each advisor will introduce each student one by one. And when one advising group is finished, we'll hear from the second, and we'll hear from the third. The 3 advising groups we'll hear from today are Ms. Sundays, Madame Malou, and Coach Burke. And I'd be remiss without calling for a big round of applause and a big thank you for those advisors who guided us today. Now, each student has been asked to give a 4 to 5 minute presentation that articulates all of the hard work that they've done and all the lessons that they've learned. I know you, students and families, will do a great job listening and following along and showing our students the appreciation. It is hard to stand up here. It shows character, strength, and bravery to stand up here and share all of this information with you today. We will take a break about halfway through so that you can stretch and that you can chat with each other for a few minutes before we continue and finish today's presentations. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ms. Sunday. We'll get it started.
Welcome, everybody. It's great to see you all here this morning. I have had the pleasure of working with my advising group, or very fondly known as my advising family, for the past 1.5 years on their capstone projects. I have watched them plan and build and put these projects into action. There have been challenges and struggles. I have seen them really step out of their comfort zone, try new things, and I've seen each of them persevere through this. I have celebrated successes with you all through these projects. I have gotten to know all of your very different personalities, and I am so incredibly proud of the hard work and dedication that each one of you guys has put into your projects. My wish for you is that when you go forward, inspired by the impact you have made in our community, that you continue to be involved through high school, through college, or wherever your road may take you. Be generous. Be generous with your time, with your love. Be generous with your life. Success really has nothing to do with what you gain in life, but how you treat others and help those in need. So just remember that. It is my absolute honor and pleasure to call up my first presenter, Artemisia Saparo.
Good morning, students, faculty, visitors, and parents here at the SCCPS. My name is Artemisia Saparo, and before getting into my topic, I would like to thank you all for gathering today to hear us, the 8th grade class, as we finally come to the closing of our 1-year-long community service project known as Capstone. Over the last year, each student has chosen and focused on an issue that's important to them, and has dedicated countless hours of their time, blood, sweat, and tears, and hard work into creating a project that they believe has truly impacted those around them. Hopefully, everyone here today has the chance to learn about all of these different organizations and is inspired to go out into their own communities and make a difference. And now, for my project, I focused on children throughout the country who have specific impairments on both physical and mental levels, and have issues accessing the proper education or reaching the curriculum they need to in their classrooms. I believe education is the key component in transforming young students into successful adults, and all children deserve an equal shot of being successful. Did you know that over 93 million kids worldwide are affected by some sort of disability? Imagine the potential struggles they could face in the classroom. That's right. So to tackle this issue, I broke my project into 3 goals and worked with the National Association for the Education of Young Children, or the NAEYC for short, which is a nonprofit organization that works nationally to promote high-quality learning among young children. My first fundraising goal was to raise $200 for the NAEYC by selling items at the Franklin Farmers Market. I sold bracelets, hats, and drawstring bags. which were each decorated to fit my education theme. I also handed out several flyers linking readers to a website I made, where they would be able to learn about my cause and even donate. By the end of collecting funds from both online and at the market, I had raised a total of $230, which surpassed my goal and was ready to be shipped off to my organization to support children wherever it was needed, whether it was with transportation or simply school supplies. My second goal was to raise awareness in our own school. I featured information about the importance of equal education on the announcements for a week, and then brought in a large banner headlined with the question, "Why is education important for all students?" Each student had the opportunity to respond to the question by writing a colorful message on the banner. Once it had become full with positive messages, it was hung in the school's modular, ready for anyone to observe. My third and final goal was to increase my own personal awareness of the everyday life of these children by immersing myself in the community. I interviewed 3 different special education teachers and sought information about how they meet their students' needs. I love this goal because I actually got an inside look at how these children are supported as they grow and develop day by day. Okay, well, for obstacles, in my first farmer's market goal, I really struggled when my mom removed all of the baking ingredients from our house. Actually, no, I really struggled when I went on a baking spree for a week straight during our April vacation last year. I mean, I kind of went crazy. It had gotten to the point where I baked until 10 at night and then woke up at 6 a.m. the next morning just to continue. That was my routine. Bake, sleep, repeat. What else more is there to life? Anyway, my mom was overwhelmed, declared that I had a baking addiction, and removed all the sugar, chocolate, flour, or anything that had to do with baking from our house. This prevented me from fulfilling my original plan, which was to raise funds by holding a bake sale. So, I decided to change my goal to the sale of education-themed items at the market instead. Oh, and by the way, we still don't even have sugar today. For my second raising awareness goal, I was not aware that I was the one who had to present my own information on the announcements, instead of the announcers just saying it for me. And for me, filming would often conflict with my schedule, so I had to work extra hard with the announcement manager to find doable times. Lastly, I procrastinated a large amount while finishing my capstone presentation. However, it finally occurred to me that yes, the capstone presentations are in fact a thing, as we are all here right now. And yes, in order to be successful, I do need a speech. So, about a week ago, I came to this realization and finally began my presentation. Overall, the last year has been a success. Through all of the planning, commitment, hard work, and dedication, my project finally came to a finish. By raising awareness for children with impairments, this cause is now gaining supporters, adding the members of our own school to the list. Additionally, although they are not a lot of money, the funds will act as an aid to the progression of these children. Truly, through really diving deep into this process, I have become that much more well-versed in this subject, giving me the ability to support it strongly in the future. Without several people, I wouldn't have been able to complete this project successfully. I thank Mrs. Sunday and Mr. Fonzo for helping me finish my project, Madame and Mrs. Vassily Kovacs for reminding me of all my deadlines, my advising family for all the support and laughter, my parents for helping me in my farmer's market, Mr. Perda for approving my blue sheets, and Lily Julian Itamo, Carissa Cosmopoulos, Angelina Rack, and many others for keeping me both sane and grounded over the past year. Lastly, thank you all for listening. Enjoy the rest of both today's and tomorrow's presentations, and have a great day.
Congratulations, Macy. That was an absolutely wonderful way to kick off our capstone event. Next, I would like to call up Mariana Ma.
Good morning, students, faculty, parents, and visitors of the ACCPS. My name is Mariana Ma, and for my capstone project, I chose to work with the Breast Cancer Research Foundation, also known as BCRF. BCRF is an organization that is constantly researching breast cancer in hopes of finding a cure. In order to support this organization, I created 3 capstone goals and executed all of them during my 7th grade year, as well as over my summer vacation. Each of the 3 goals played a significant role in helping to spread awareness regarding the importance of my capstone project. I chose to work with the Breast Cancer Research Foundation because several of my own family members have suffered from cancer, and I hope to use this project as a way to prevent other families who go through the same struggles that my family did. By successfully completing my capstone project, I have also successfully helped to pave the way towards greater awareness in our community for cancer patients and their families. For my first goal, I held a fundraiser at school and sent all the money to BCRF. I held a day at school where staff and students could choose to wear pink and bring in $1 to support my cause. I chose the color pink as it represents breast cancer awareness. This fundraiser took place on June 8, 2018, during my 7th grade school year. I set the original goal of raising $100. However, I managed to raise $126 just to pass my original goal. This event allowed me to spread awareness about breast cancer, BCRF, and my Capstone project. Because of my fundraiser, students and faculty alike were more aware of breast cancer and how they could help show support to people who are battling this disease. For my second capstone goal, I chose to spread awareness not only to the school, but to the whole neighborhood about my project. I did this over the summer by creating different art projects that were related to the color pink and breast cancer awareness. For example, I made pink ribbons and hung them around the neighborhood. I painted rocks pink and wrote positive messages on them, and created many other crafts. My hope was that it would make people in Franklin more aware of breast cancer and how they could spread the positive message to their friends and family. For my third goal, I decided to focus on improving my time management. Time management, as you might know, tends to be a very widespread issue within most students. It can make your work and personal life much more difficult than it needs to be. By improving your time management skills, assignments and being an overall better student becomes so much easier. To complete this goal, I decided to measure my progress by keeping a journal by recording all the due dates for my capstone project. I also consistently filled in my goal completion tracker that was full of due dates and updated it each time as I completed a goal. This made it much more convenient to see when I had met a due date or not. By completing these tasks, I can gladly say that my project was much easier than I expected and helped pave the way for a smoother capstone journey. One of the obstacles I faced while implementing my capstone project was that I was unable to find a suitable time for my rock painting after-school activity. I asked many people to join me, and they all willingly agreed. However, due to schedule conflicts and other extraneous variables, I could not find a date and time that was able to cater to everyone. I thought about completing the goal during summer at my house with everyone, but almost everyone was going to be away on vacation or busy with other summer activities. I eventually overcame this obstacle by doing everything myself instead with friends. Over the summer, I had lots of free time, so I decided to take the situation into my own hands and made all the crafts by myself. However, there was still another factor. I was planning to have my friends take a few rocks and place them in their own neighborhoods, so that they would be more spread out through the town. Since this was impossible at the time, I ended up taking walks by myself to a local park by my house and other neighborhoods and put the rocks there. Although it took more time and energy, I was glad I resorted to doing everything myself instead of waiting for and depending on my friends, else I might have never completed the goal due to scheduling problems. I believe that although this capstone project may have been small in comparison to the larger problems in the outside world, I'm glad I was able to make a positive difference in my community from this project. By completing each of my 3 goals, I have played a significant role in spreading awareness throughout my community regarding the importance of breast cancer awareness. I have not only learned a significant amount about breast cancer and its problems, but I have also learned numerous important life lessons. I realize that sometimes not everything goes according to plan, and we have to learn to be flexible and deal with sudden changes. Completing my capstone project has helped me to learn to become more aware of my surroundings and make a positive impact in the future, raising awareness for the support of medical patients. All of the BSCCPS community has greatly aided me through this capstone journey. However, there are a few specific people I'd like to thank. I'd like to thank Mrs. Sunday, my capstone advisor, for constantly supporting our entire group throughout the past year of capstone. I'd also like to thank my parents as well, for helping me get supplies for my capstone goals. I'd also like to thank my whole advisor group for always supporting me and participating in my capstone project. Additionally, I'd like to thank Mr. Perner for allowing me to hold my fundraiser at BSCCPS. Without all these people, I would not be standing here presenting my speech to you today. And to everyone who donated or participated in my fundraiser, thank you. My project would have never succeeded as much as it did without your support. And finally, thank you all for sitting here today and listening to my capstone speech, and I hope you have an amazing day.
Congratulations, Mariana. Very well done. I would like to next call up Ben Kearns.
Hello, BSCCPS. I am Ben Kearns, and I am working with Save Lab to help save abused and neglected dogs from my capstones. Save Lab is a non-profit organization that has volunteers foster dogs until they can find their forever home. They helped me find the 2 dogs I have now, so I decided to help them back. I came up with 3 goals to help make an impact with this organization. First, I would raise at least $100 by selling homemade dog collars. Next, I would hold a raffle Q&A on the morning announcements to raise awareness for my capstone. And last, I would try not to procrastinate throughout my capstone journey. My first goal was to make at least $100 by selling homemade paracord dog collars at Franklin Farmers Market. I had to make a lot of them, so I recruited some friends to come over to my house and help me with them. After I had made them all, I had to go to the farmer's market to sell them. I had picked an extremely hot day to do this, as it was almost 95 degrees and humid when I sold them. But I managed to make $215.50, which exceeded my goal by over $100. I donated this money to Save Lab. My second goal was to raise awareness amongst my school by holding a raffle question and answer segment on the morning announcements to benefit Save Lab. I was already in the morning announcements club, so I could just go on whenever I needed to talk about my capstone. This was the easy part. After a week or two of sharing information, asking questions, and trying to collect responses, no one had submitted any answers. I did eventually get some students to respond, but I wasted no time in losing their answers. So I procrastinated a little bit, but eventually found them and gave the winner a small dog plushie. My third goal was to not procrastinate on my capstone project. I did this by making a list of assignments and scoring myself on how many days after a due date I procrastinated. If I did it early, I got a negative number, and if I procrastinated and did something late, it got a positive number. I then added all my assignments up and ended up with about a negative 10, although I got such a good score because I thought my speech was due over a month before it actually was. I did this scoring method because I felt it might make me a little more conscious of my procrastinating and tap into my highly competitive nature to improve my time management. One challenge I faced when completing my capstone project was that my organization didn't respond to my emails for 3 or 4 weeks. I eventually did find the email of one of the fosterers, and from there I got my request through to Save Lab, so that worked out. Another obstacle I faced was that when I made my dog collars, only a few people came to help me. I overcame this by working much harder with the people that did come over in order to make a sufficient amount of dog collars. When I sold them at the farmer's market, because it was a really hot day, I ended up not even selling all the ones I made. A third obstacle I faced is that I got a yellow light at first, and because I procrastinated a lot, I ended up not fixing it for almost a month, and this put me behind on my project. Some major successes I had in going about the capstone process were that I made over twice my goal for selling dog collars. I believe I overachieved with this goal for many reasons. For example, I also sold little car stickers alongside my dog collars so people could still support Save Lab if they didn't have a dog. During the capstone process, I feel I achieved a lot, but not as much as I would have liked. I feel I could have been more effective at sharing information about my capstone during my second goal and gotten more responses. I also feel I could have planned a better time for the farmer's market and gotten more people to help make dog collars had I not procrastinated as much on the yellow light. And finally, throughout the capstone process, I learned you can't do everything on your own, and sometimes you have to get help from friends, which brings me to my next point. I am thanking everyone that helped me throughout my capstone journey. Thank you to my entire advisor group for all the support. Thank you to my advisor, Mrs. Sunday, for all your help. Thank you to my parents for trying to keep me on task. Thank you to all the friends that helped me sell and make my dog collars. And finally, thank you to everyone here for listening to my speech.
Thank you, Ben. Well done. Our next presenter I'd like to call up is Lily.
Suddenly, I'm nervous. Okay. Good morning, students, parents, faculty, and esteemed members of the BSCCPS community. My name is Lily Eatsmo, and as you can probably guess, I'm here to share information about my capstone project with you, which is focused upon eating disorders. First off, what is an eating disorder? An eating disorder is an irregular and unhealthy eating habit. Eating disorders occur when someone decides to make negative changes regarding what they're eating or how much they're eating on a daily or infrequent basis. Major symptoms include dramatic weight loss, fainting, weakness, feelings of depression and guilt, and obsessive behavior. People with anorexia between the ages of 15 and 24 have 10 times the risk of early death compared to peers who do not have this disorder. Annually, around 30 million people in America alone are diagnosed with an eating disorder. This could be your brother, your best friend, your great-aunt's cousin, or anyone in between. Lots of people are affected by eating disorders and in the many forms they can take, but it's not recognized very often as a big issue in our community.
With this project, I was hoping to shed light on a topic that isn't normally focused upon, so I chose eating disorders. I worked with the National Eating Disorders Association, also known as NEDA, an organization of which supports individuals or families who may be affected by eating disorders. For my Capstone project, I had 3 goals. My first was raising awareness, my second fundraising, and my third was my personal goal. Raising awareness for any cause that you support is very effective and can allow many other people to be educated about your cause. In order to raise awareness for eating disorders, I created flyers and distributed them to some of my neighbors. The flyers outlined what eating disorders are, strategies on how to help, and how to find additional information about eating disorders. In early July, I walked around with my mom and handed out flyers to 23 households, surpassing my original goal of 20. The second part of my first goal was to create a poster for school. On August 31st, I created posters and hung these up in the upstairs girls' bathroom to raise awareness. These flyers were created with the purpose to reach out to classmates who may be battling an eating disorder. My second goal was to fundraise $250 for my main organization, the National Eating Disorders Association. At school in April and May, I worked to get my idea approved and into motion. I would raise money by hosting a Power Over the Teachers Challenge. This was a grade 1 through 8 competition in which voting was counted in the form of money. For 2 weeks, students could donate money and put it into the jar of the desired teacher they would like to win. Once the teacher's jar reached $40, they would have to dye their hair green, as shown on the screen. The teacher with the highest amount of money in their jar at the end of the 2-week period would dye their hair green for a week. I raised $400 in total using this fundraising method. 7 teachers participated, and 3 of them were seen sporting green hairstyle the following week. My personal goal required the most work, but in the end, it had a positive effect on myself and the community around me. The goal I had chosen for myself was to go out into my community and support causes that were important to me, which included 3 different aspects. The first was to participate in the National Eating Disorders Walk in Boston, Massachusetts. This would support people who fought against an eating disorder and also show kindness to the community. My second part of the third goal was to spread positivity by participating in the Kindness Rocks project, which included painting rocks, adding positive messages to them, and hiding them in various places. These rocks outlined important messages about self-love and confidence. I decorated 18 rocks in April and early May and hid them at the National Eating Disorders Walk, previously mentioned. I had finished decorating 25 rocks by mid-July, and for the rest of the summer hid them in various places, including Cape Cod, Mayville, and Franklin. Lastly, I would volunteer for 5 hours at the Medway Food Pantry, which would allow more people to have food for their daily and weekly needs. By the end of November, I surpassed my goal and had volunteered a total of 12.5 hours. Although there were many successes in my Capstone project, there were also a multitude of obstacles. My family had planned to go on vacation the week I scheduled to hand out flyers, so I moved it back and eventually achieved my goal in mid-July, almost a month later than initially planned. After returning back to school in the fall, I realized I didn't have enough time to go to each classroom to spread awareness. I also had a little bit of trouble getting my flyers approved, since I needed to work closely with our school nurses to make sure that the information was appropriate. I overcame this obstacle by demonstrating patience and eventually hung up those flyers. In my second goal, it took me an overwhelming amount of time, and yes, procrastination, to get my blue sheet confirmed. And that had put me in a tough spot, but I quickly made up the time. And for my third goal, it took some time to buy paint and numerous other materials for decorating the rocks. I did attend our week Art Rocks decorating night, and this helped me to get some of my rocks done then. Approaching the beginning of November, I felt like 5 hours of volunteering wasn't enough, but the Medway Food Pantry only had volunteering hours for 2 hours once a week. However, the food pantry had a Thanksgiving stock in early October, and I was able to volunteer for 7.5 hours in one day, totaling 12.5 hours of volunteer work at the Medway Food Pantry. Throughout my Capstone project, many people provided guidance and reassurance. I'd like to say thank you to the following people. Mrs. Sunday, for constantly providing advice and always sporting a positive attitude. My advising group for the endless support and horrible jokes. Kiara Edwards and Vivian Harvey, who are also part of my advising family, and I've worked extremely hard to be where we all are today, inspiring all of the previous advising groups to work harder. Gabe Gavito, Volunteer Program Supervisor at NEDA, for responding quickly and effectively, informing me of various ways to help out my organization. My parents, for driving me around to my numerous commitments and supporting my ideas. Artemisia Saparov and Corsi Cosmopoulos for joining me at the NEDA Walk. Susan D. at the Medway Food Pantry for being extremely helpful with providing my service hours. Mrs. Williams, Mrs. Auer, and Mr. Perna for approving my flyer and fundraising event, as well as providing good ideas on how to execute them. Mr. Nieder, Mrs. Sunday, Mrs. Kovacs, Coach Berg, Ms. Brzezinski, Mrs. Vigoni, and Mrs. Oakers for participating in my Power of the Teacher Challenge. Lastly, I'd like to thank all of you. Whether you realize it or not, you're supporting the entire 8th grade by attending these ceremonies. We've worked so hard to get here, and it's a wonderful experience to be able to share it with all of you. Thank you, and have a fabulous day.
And I feel that it really held me back from doing the project in the way I wanted to. I overcame this slowly throughout my project by logging my procrastination and getting better at time management. Another obstacle I had while executing my project is that my movie night wasn't as successful as I would have hoped. I had a low number of people show up to my movie, which is probably because of my lack of good advertising, and also the fact that I planned it onto the same day as the Strawberry Festival. I overcame this obstacle by raising awareness in my local community about the inequalities faced by oppressed groups. I feel that this made a better impact on my community by telling them about my council and explaining why we have to stand up to oppression. In the end, I feel that I succeeded in many places throughout this project. I feel that my goals were a success, and I'm glad that my capstone itself was as successful as it is. I'm grateful that I had such a good advisor, and that I was able to do my capstone so well. Though I may not have raised as much awareness as I would have liked, I still feel that I shared with enough people that I made a change in the world. I learned through this project that time management is more important as I used to think, and I should definitely not waste time when I have the opportunity to be productive. In my project, I was able to make my community a better place by telling people about issues faced by oppressed groups. I would like to take a moment to thank a few people. I would like to thank my Capstone coordinator, Ms. Sunday, and I would like her to know that I'm very grateful for all her help and that I could never have done this without her. I would like to thank Mr. Heater as well, because he's also made this possible in many, many ways. I would like to thank my very supportive advisor group, including Addison Hart, Ben Kearns, Ignace Nangaretti, Artemisia Safarov, Mariana Ma, Yara Edwards, Lily Itimo, and Vivian Harvey. I would like to thank my parents for driving me around to all the places I would never have been able to get to by myself, and overall benefiting my project greatly. I would like to thank my sister Hannah for going to try with me, listening to my speech, going to all my events, and overall being supportive of my capstone project. I would like to thank many of the BSCCPS staff members for allowing me to plan the event and hold it at the school. I would like to thank Mr. Perna, Ms. Solnowski, Dr. Levering, and all of you for being here today to listen to my speech. Thank you all so much, and have a great and wonderful day.
Congratulations, Sam. Our next presenter is Yara Edwards.
Yes, Mom!
All right.
Good morning, BSCCPS. My name is Kara Edwards, and I'm here to talk about my capstone project. For my capstone, I chose to focus on the topic of hunger. For me, it's distressing to see so many people that are struggling for their life because they don't have enough money to afford food. The organization I worked with was the Medway Blood Food Pantry. This organization provides food to people that are less fortunate and even hosts holiday meals for those in need. They are always looking for donations if you want to donate like I did. My first goal was to hold a food drive at BFCCPS and collect 100 items. My second goal was to raise awareness about the Medway Village Food Pantry, and my third goal was to work on my writing skills, especially for when I'm writing emails. For my first goal, as you've already heard, was to start by holding a food drive at BFCCPS and around my neighborhood with the purpose to receive 100 donations. I wanted to fulfill this goal because I felt empathy when I saw people in the street who were hungry and in need of food. Through this drive, I hoped that someone would gain a meal. To complete this goal, I had to have food drives in many places. I would place food donation boxes in the modular and in my neighborhood for 2 weeks, then I would recollect the boxes and bring them home. After counting the items, I put them in different containers and drove them to the food pantry. The drive I had at school started November 5th and ended on November 9th. The items I collected were different varieties of canned goods and personal care items. I surpassed this goal and collected 138 items. These donations were gladly accepted and were in time for Christmas. My second goal was to raise awareness to show that I care about this topic and want to make a difference. To attain this goal, I had to create flyers, and hang them around the school. I raised awareness among the students and faculty of BICCPS during the months of October and November. I also submitted information for bench buzz to raise awareness to not just the students, but the parents of the students as well. My third goal, also my personal goal, was to improve my writing skills. I chose the school because I had to write emails to organizations to ask for permission in order to create a food drive. To execute this goal, I wrote multiple emails and got better at choosing ethical words each time. I finished my goal at home and worked on it at home as well. I worked with my dad to complete this goal and helped me pick the right words and great sentence structure. I struggled a lot during this process, and one thing I struggled was that everyone started their capstone project last year during 7th grade and had a whole year to go. Me just getting here this year had only one trimester to complete this project. With some hard work and dedication, I flew right through in the one trimester I was given. Another thing I struggled was, I procrastinated. Procrastination is a subject that almost every student doing capstone struggles with. Procrastination, as you're probably aware, means to lose track of time. And that's exactly what I did. I abandoned my project for a while, but quickly got back on track. I was supposed to donate all the items I collected in time for Thanksgiving, but I didn't have enough dedication to get it done in time. Thankfully, Christmas is right after Thanksgiving, so I brought the donations for Christmas instead. Either way, the Medway Village Food Pantry would have gladly accepted them, and they did. During my drive at school, I raised a substantial amount of items. It greatly increased my donations to the food pantry. The food pantry was very buoyant with my success, and so was I. In the end, not only did I learn how to write a better email, but I also started to look at people with a more positive perspective than I did before. I want to thank my advising group, Lily Itimo, Artemisia Saparov, Ben Kearns, Sam Hogan, Vignesh Jangareddy, Addison Hart, Mariana Mott, and Vivian Harvey for peer editing this speech to make it more virtuous. My advising Miss Sunday for everything she's done for me, my parents for helping me through this journey, Dr. L, Mr. Kern, and all the faculty at BICCPS. Lastly, I want to thank all of you for listening to my speech. Have a great day, and I hope you enjoy the rest of our presentation.
Well done, Kara. Next up is Vignesh Jangareddy.
Welcome. My name is Vignesh Jangareddy, and I work with the Franklin Food Pantry for my Capstone project. I helped them by creating goals to make an impact at the pantry. I was inspired by an encounter on the way to a Celtics game. I was walking to get to TD Garden, and I saw a man on the street begging for food and money. I saw a lot of people go by him, but they did not even acknowledge him, as if he was a piece of trash. This aggravated me because people did not even give him $1. This made me think to myself that I need to do this as my topic. I want to prevent poverty from ever hitting our streets again. I want to donate to everyone who needs money. Every one of us all have a food surplus, so we should be able to donate to others who do not have enough food. While we think to ourselves, is my next meal going to be good tasting? People in poverty wonder if they're going to get any food for the next meal. This is the reason I chose this topic. I do not want to just make a difference in the community my Capstone project takes place in, but the whole world. For my first goal, I wanted to volunteer at the Franklin Food Pantry for a total of 10 hours. At the food pantry, they asked me to stock the shelves, organize the shelves, and check for expired food and put it aside. Suzanne Walsh helped me acquire these hours for my Capstone project, and she was very nice to me for most of my Capstone process. Goal 1 was my most difficult goal, it was also a very effective goal. My second goal was to hold a toiletry drive at BICCPS to donate to the Franklin Food Pantry. I held this drive in April before the Quebec trip. My goal was to raise about 20 donations. When I held this drive, I only raised 15. So I raised one in my neighborhood, and after that, I got a total of more than 100 donations. I advertised the drive by hanging up flyers around the school. I held this drive because the Franklin Food Pantry had a low supply of toiletry items, and I knew I could help. I hosted the drive at school, and additionally I also hosted it in my neighborhood as well. I interacted with Suzanne Walsh and gave all the things that I got from my drive to her to go to the food pantry. My third goal was my personal goal, and I had to work on my public speaking. I worked with my family in India, where I presented at a public event at a hotel. I was originally supposed to do an internship and speak at a school with 6th grade students. That was not able to happen, so instead, I presented at that conference. I presented at Palm Beach Hotel in India. This speech was approximately 30 minutes in length. I started working on the speech when the Capstone project first started in 7th grade. I ended up presenting in August. I had many obstacles on my journey to the end of my Capstone project. My first obstacle was when I was working on my Capstone project and I had to go to India for the whole summer, which really gave me no time to finish the 10 hours of my volunteer work. Also, while I was in India, the worker at the Franklin Food Pantry that I worked with resigned her job. We had to find a new worker there, and at some point we tried to find a new organization. Well, luckily, another worker there stepped up and gave me more volunteer hours. I was not able to complete my volunteer hours by the due date, which resulted in an extension. By November 14th, I still had 3 hours remaining in the Franklin Food Pantry, and I still had not responded to any of my emails. When Mr. Perna gave me the extension, he told me to come up with a plan on how to get the rest of my hours done. Luckily, my aunt was going to a volunteering service, and I tagged along and finished the rest of my 3 hours there. I went to Foxborough Regional Charter School, and from there we went to Trailer Park and delivered Thanksgiving meals to people who could not afford it. Overall, my Capstone journey was hard and great at the same time. The fact that I was able to help the Franklin Food Pantry made me happy. Although the long and hard Capstone project was difficult, I was able to get through it. There are several people that I want to thank that helped me through my Capstone project. First, I would like to thank my parents for supporting and helping me through the Capstone process. Second, I'd like to thank Mr. Perna and Mrs. Sunday for allowing me to have an extension and being supportive with me throughout my Capstone project. I would also like to thank Mrs. Schwab for calling and emailing people to get me opportunities for volunteer hours. I'd like to thank Mr. Here for giving me the green light. I'd like to also thank Suzanne Wells, Guillermo Viscaro, who gave me opportunities to volunteer at the Franklin Food Pantry. I would like to thank my advising group members Lily Itamo, Artemisia Safarov, Sam Hogan, Addison Hart, Ben Kearns, Kiara Edwards, Vivian Harvey, and Mariana Mott. And finally, I would like to thank you all for listening, and good luck to the rest of the presenters.
Thank you, Big Nash. Our last presenter is Addison Hart.
Good afternoon, DSCCPS. Oops. My name is Addison Hart, and as the focus of my Capstone project, I chose to highlight the lack of literacy in our world. I feel like this is a big problem in our society. If someone can't read, their education can be severely limited because they cannot read textbooks. And also, being able to read is something that most jobs require. 13.7% of the earth is illiterate, or they don't have access to literature. This may seem like a small percent, but that many people could take up 5,881,875 square feet. To give you a better understanding of that number, that amount of people could blanket 48,772 football fields and a half. That is a lot of space. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about my Capstone project. Throughout my Capstone project, I worked with an organization named CLIF, which is the Children's Literacy Foundation, through collecting books. I also helped the library by doing volunteer work, and I did my best not to procrastinate. As the first goal of my project, I decided to hold a book drive for grades K through 8 in our school's hallways. I would then give the books to CLIF, who would give them to children in need. To alert people to my book drive, I made a large amount of flyers, like in lots, and hung them up in every possible area to advertise my drive. Then, I brought in 2 wicker baskets from home and labeled them so people would know where to put their books. However, I messed up the day of my drive and started a week late. And at first, I received little to no books. Then, I used social media to announce that I was having a book drive to help provide people with more source of literature. It was a success. I surpassed my goal and collected over 450 books. It was 508 to be exact. I was super happy because my original goal was 40 books. That was more than 12 times my goal. The Children's Literacy Foundation, CLIF, which was the organization I was working with, was very pleased with my success. I even drove the books all the way up to Vermont to hand deliver them. I got to learn a lot more about them and got my first school done. It was excellent to give the books to CLIF, and I felt great knowing they would go to children in need. The second goal of my Capstone project was to do 10 hours of community service at the library. I would help out the library doing any tasks librarians required assistance with. At first, I called the library many times. I left many messages for the librarian in charge of community service. However, they did not get back to me. It wasn't the librarian's fault though. The landing page to the website isn't that she was doing a lot of work. I then tried email, but that had the same result. Eventually, I decided to ride my bike down to the library and talk to them in person. However, the librarian left just as I got out of school. Summer vacation happens, and I lost track of my community service goal. But then, when I went back to school in September and called them, to my surprise, they answered, and I was able to set up and start my volunteer work. Some of my jobs were to change the letters in the big letterboard in the front and help locate different books from the library. I reached my goal and did my 10 hours successfully. The librarians were happy with my work and said they would hope to work with me again. My third goal was to keep on track with my goals and not fall behind on my timeline. In other words, don't procrastinate. I feel as though I was mostly on time with my first and second goal. It took me a while to get in contact with the library, but once I established contact, I quickly finished my goal in just a few days. But all things considered, I didn't really forget anything major. It wasn't on track with all of my goals. Procrastination is a problem that a lot of capstones go through, but I feel like I went right through it and stayed with my goals. Just like any capstone, though, mine too had its fair share of obstacles and troubles that I had to work through. At first, I didn't know the organization that would respond to me. I don't feel like this happening after my capstone, but it is worth mentioning. Another struggle I had was that the library wasn't responding to my calls and emails. I was determined not to give up, and I kept on calling, emailing, the library anyway, hoping I could make contact. In the end, I did, and successfully got my goal of 10 hours of community service in. Overall, my project was a success. I completed all of my goals and passed by all of my obstacles. I felt like my capstone project made a sizable impact. I volunteered 10 hours at the library and gave books to children in need. I also feel like this is a beneficial impact for good. I would like to thank my parents for approving my capstone project, helping me get more established in my first goal, and extra special thanks to my dad for driving me up on really long prior to the month. My advisor, Capstone Sunday, for keeping me on track and helping me and my advising group do the capstone project. I would also like to thank my advising group, Ben Kern, Sam Hogan, Arnie Sabra, Mariana Mott, Lily Eatsnell, Tara Edwards, Larry Harvey, Nadine Chandler. Oh, and all of you for listening to my speech. Thank you and have a great day.
I would like to ask my advising group to just stand up one more time, face the audience one more round of applause. All right, my friends, have a seat. Our next capstone group to present has been led by one of the most positive and inspiring teachers in our community. I would like to introduce Madame Malou.